this and share my screen. So yeah, I'm just gonna make you like a real quick demo. It's mostly a few commands at this point. It's mostly automated. About easy self-hosted runner. So if some of you aren't familiar with Epic, basically the idea is to allow users to easily install runner on different platforms. Would that be AWS, Google Cloud, or some private cloud? So that's the end goal. For this release, I tried to spike it just for Google Cloud. So the idea was to have a running VM in Google Cloud with runner pre-installed. In the end, I tried to keep it like with all dependencies and stuff. In the end, we use Terraform and just the Google Cloud CLI. We could go why we need to use Terraform later. Like I thought about it, and it seems like the best solution. Like at least for now. If you don't have any questions, I'm gonna go to the repo and just show you how things look and how they work, basically. So if you take a look at the Epic here, there's an image which is a mock-up of what we want the user to see when this is available to them. So we just basically want them to run one or two commands and just have it already. We should pre-populate some fields for them where that's possible. So we can always pre-populate like the token and the GitLab URL, even of course on private environments. So this repo right here currently has two parts. I'm gonna open it in Visual Studio Code. That's two parts. Basically, base is the scripts responsible for creating the base image. So every VM is going to be based on this image when we create it in Google Cloud. And the instance directory is basically the script the user is going to use to create the VMs in Google Cloud. So they can be separate repos at one point, and they probably will be, I don't know, but they're logically separated right now. So the instructions in the README start with the user part, but let's just go and create an image real quick. We can go to the README, and so you need two things basically: Terraform CLI and Google Cloud CLI. There are some instructions on installing them, and you need to log in with Google Cloud. Basically, Terraform allows you a few different methods of authentication. One of them is using Google Cloud by default, and other ones, I don't know how many other there are, but one of them is to basically download a credentials JSON file from a page in Google Cloud and give that to Terraform. But for now, this is easier and allows us to make some assumptions about the project and the zone of the user. So we can omit some some parameters here, so we don't have to tell this is the verify runner project in the European zone, for example. We can get that from the Google Cloud CLI. You can see here in the base image, I have I have suggested to set them. So you can just set your default zone to Google Cloud and your default project. So when creating the base image, this is going to create the base image in that project. I'm just going to start it up real quick. It doesn't even matter if we create the image, it already exists. But anyways, so this is the image is basically going to create one VM with simple networking, which allows SSH. After that, we can just see it real quick. So we can basically see the Terraform script, which creates the VM and the networking. And then we run in the ready VM a script which basically installs the runner from a Debian package. And after the runner is already installed in the VM, what we do is we just stop the VM and create a new image from it. So this is the workflow, the way I imagine it is every time we release the runner, we just go and create a new golden image for the new version of the runner. So right now, if you noticed, I'm creating an image for runner 12.9. And this is going to do some stuff. You can see the script in the repo. It's very simple. So now that we have the VM, we could just go and follow the user instructions. Basically, this is how I imagine this is what the user is going to see most likely. You need Terraform CLI, you need Google Cloud, you need to authenticate, then you run this, and you're going to have a runner up and running in the Google Cloud.
Oh, so you're saying that that's what the user would have. So basically, the user will be pulling from our image then, the VM image that you created earlier?
Yeah. Ideally, this image we created is going to be public. So everybody who knows the name of the image is going to be able to use it in the Google Cloud. I can't make it public because I don't have permissions.
Sure.
But yeah, this is the idea. We're going to create images for everybody, and they're going to reuse them. Basically, just like the Debian packages they reuse now. So yeah, I'm just going to go to the other terminal and just go to my playground project. And get my token. Yeah, we know it's github.com. So this is the place where Google Cloud CLI comes in handy. If you see the up script, we can check if the user specified project or zone to the script, and we can just get them from the default configuration. So the script is telling us, do you want to create this VM in this group? And do you want to use this zone, which is your default? And you say, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's missing 12.10. Why is it 12.10? Ah, yeah. I have set runner version 12.10 in the environment. Yeah, so if you don't specify a version, it's going to default to whatever we have set. Now it's 12.9. When we release a new version, it's going to be 12.10. This is just part of the release process, which could be automated. Бяги надолу. Бяги при бабата. После ще слезна. После ще слезна, бяги. Бяги сега съм взет.
We can join the meeting.
Well, he picks the worst times, I swear.
That's okay. You can just put him on your lap. That's fine. Hi.
Yeah. So.
Hey, so George, okay. So backing up, go back to the repo instructions again for a second.
Yep.
Okay. So pause right here. So let's kind of like think through this for a second. So if Darren is a customer today and I want to try this out, right? I would have to install Terraform CLI on whatever system. Let's call it my local system for right now, which I have done. I installed GCloud CLI, so I've done that. So I'm just kind of thinking through from a user perspective. So obviously those two steps are on the user, the end customer. I have to authenticate, when I install GCloud CLI, then authenticate the GCloud CLI to my own Google Cloud account, again on the customer, makes sense. And then what I need to do then is, in this repo, grab the setup.sh script from GitLab in order to execute the automated install. I have to grab that, right?
But then we're probably gonna have the whole repo, I think.
Maybe we don't even have to have the user clone the repo. We can provide the Docker image. There's a bigger chance that the user has Docker installed, and we just say Docker run, and then we'll start asking the questions.
Oh, good idea. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Will they have to authenticate in the container?
Yeah, so we can execute a GCloud login, and that will give the user all the steps. If I remember correctly, it's just a callback URL that the user has to click to log in Google and the browser, and it goes back. I expect it to work, but something to test.
Okay, so if I'm testing this today, that's a quick question for you guys. If I'm testing this today and say I'm using my own personal Google Cloud creds, right? I know that the image that George is using is not yet published publicly, right? It's in our own GCloud repo. But let's just say I would have cloned this repo today with Darren's own Gmail GCloud account. If I run the Terraform scripts as it is today, is it able to grab that image or no? The VM image that you've created, or we still have to publish that somehow?
I don't know what are exactly the parameters you need to give Terraform to use a public image, but that's configurable. And now it only can access like our own image, since that's the only one I could configure basically. I could make it public.
Let me rephrase the question a different way. If I'm assuming that this will all work if I log in as deastman at GitLab.com, right? Because I have credentials against our GCloud account. But if I logged in to GCloud as Darren Eastman at gmail.com, am I able to pull the image you're currently using today? I'm guessing not, right?
Yeah, no, it's internal at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can you can rebuild it. You can build it.
Yeah. Right.
Your own
yeah,
account.
I can build it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But everybody with permission can make it public. It's just basically one command as far as I can see. So it shouldn't be a big deal. I just tried to make it public today and didn't have time to grab permissions.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, the only reason I was asking was just kind of thinking out like, if we had a customer that wanted to test it out, the only gap that they would have would be just having to recreate the image that you currently have. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, basically. Other questions?
I have one, but it can wait till the end if you still have things to show off.
I'm gonna let Terraform create some resources here while we wait, so you can ask now.
Yeah, my question was mostly a pedantic one. Is there a reason why we need to use Terraform to create the image and not just Packer? Because, for example, for the Windows shared owners and Linux shared owners, we use Packer to build us the image, provide it automatically, and then we just pull down that image. Is there a reason why we use Terraform for that?
Basically, the way I started it, first I wanted to try and make it without the base image. but there are some limitations in the provisioners. So I couldn't make it that way. And since I already had the Terraform code, I just copy pasted.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so anything that can make the base image is fine. In any case, like the main point of this is the user experience. So I don't think I just didn't think the building of the image is going to be a big pain point in any case. So I didn't focus on that like until today. These were just a set of steps, and I made already script just today. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just curious the reason behind it.
Yeah, fair question. Others? Okay, so the setup SSH script. So I just ran it, and you see it created a bunch of stuff. I'm just gonna go real quick what it does. Setup SSH basically calls up or down, which down is used to downscale, like destroy everything, tear it down, and up creates it. So there's basically just a bunch of configurations here, just getting the project again, getting the zone, checking if you have specified runner version. You can specify a runner name, and just runs the Terraform script. Which the Terraform script does a few things. It creates a template in Google Cloud, which template is used by the Autoscaler later to create VMs. So the VMs we create are actually autoscaled, and as you can see in the startup and shutdown scripts here, every time a VM turns on, it unregisters any previous runners if there were any, and registers a new runner with the shell executor, and enables the runner with systemctl just in case. And if you shut down the VM, the runners are going to be deregistered. So what happens is you have VMs that are outscaled. Each time a new runner comes with host name as a prefix in the name, and the name you gave it optionally here. So we should basically have a runner now if the VM booted up. Yeah. So this is the host name of the VM, and this is our name. The script does a few other things, like create, use the image we created earlier, some pools, group managers, some configuration which isn't configurable now, but we can make it configurable, and some networking which allows you to basically SSH.
So right now, with this initial setup, I'm imagining that if you were to SSH into the VM instance and then look at the runner config.toml file, it's a pretty basic config.toml file at this point.
Yeah, it's it's fairly basic. We could export using the template, but that's kind of advanced, and I really didn't have time to play with it.
No. That's definitely not for the period. No, I was just asking. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I thought about all of this stuff, and I just I want to share, you know.
Yeah.
So let me see. Yeah, we created the VM basically. I can SSH in the VM if you want to see like anything relevant.
Can we maybe run a job inside of it? Just
oh yeah, sure, yeah, of course.
Hey Steve, why are you joining this job? When you're doing your testing, do you typically like test with like a shell executor, or do you test with like a Docker executor? Like, what do you test with?
I test whatever executive evaluated for my it depends on
It depends.
what executor I'm testing, right? Like if I'm testing the Docker executor, I use Docker. But if I want something quick and dirty, I just use the shell executor, just so I don't have to wait for Docker containers.
Got it.
Awesome.
Nice. That was pretty fast.
Yeah. Regarding the auto-scaling stuff, how does that work? Does that work over CPU and memory usage? And then GCP will just say, hey, here are 2 new machines for you.
I think the GCP have to configure it, right?
Yes, you can see like in the Google Cloud.
Okay, so create a template. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. We could even upscale it. It takes a little while.
So right now, so right now it is in auto scaling mode on the GCP
yeah,
side.
it's in autoscaling. Just uses CPU scaler.
So what does that mean for us then? So let's just say a customer did it this way, right? Where just like how you're doing it. Let me think about this. So the customer have to go into obviously their Google Cloud platform, set up auto scaling. How is that auto scaling different than our current Docker machine auto scaling? Maybe there is no difference.
There's a few differences because with the current one we have control how many jobs run on machine X and so on and so forth. This one, imagine I've seen multiple customers doing it like Georgia did it, and I'm super happy that he did it like this. Because basically you just have one runner, it's picking up jobs, right? But then when CPU is over 50, you just say, hey, give me another runner. And that's kind of auto-scaling. It is auto-scaling in that sense, but it's not auto-scaling, hey, I can only have one job running per machine, for example, for GitLab.com. Or I want to have one runner manager, and the runner manager spawns like 50 machines to run the jobs and then scales down back to 2, for example. And this one does not provide idling machines and so on and so forth. That's why GitLab Runner has its own auto-scaling stuff, because it does not provide all that stuff.
Right. So in this case, where you're using CPU auto-scaling, those additional runners that are being spun up, will they have, like if like say a pipeline has 4 other jobs in the pipeline, will those runners then like be able to pick up the specific jobs in the pipeline? Or how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like this one is like doing manual auto scaling. Like, hey, this runner is at 90% CPU. Let me go register a new machine and register a new GitLab runner, and that GitLab runner will start picking up new jobs on the second machine. So this following that pattern, but it's not as rich as our Docker machine auto scaling, because that one provides an actual Docker environment for a specific job or X amount of jobs. It provides idle machines, provides peak time and off-peak time, and so on and so forth. So yes, this is a really nice replacement. Like this will get you 50%, 60% of the way there, to be honest. And I've seen people having really nice success with that on AWS as well. And
interesting.
Mentioning AWS, Georgie, would this be the same amount of effort for every cloud provider we have to add, or is there something we can reuse?
Yeah, that's one of my points. I'm not really sure. I have never like really used Terraform with AWS, so I guess a large part of the Terraform files are going to have to be new. That's why I would like to get someone who knows really Terraform, just take a look and ask him some relevant questions.
Yeah.
And yeah.
One other question I have. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
One other question I have is with Terraform, you have the Terraform state, right? The state where the infrastructure is. How is that handled? Like, have we thought how we're gonna handle that? Like, how are we gonna show the state to the user? Like, what if, for example, you ran it with Terraform, but I don't know Terraform. I just went to the UI and deleted the template by mistake or something like that. Like, how are we gonna? Because I know Terraform has Terraform Cloud that handles all that state. So I'm curious, like, how we're gonna handle that, if we're gonna handle that. Feel free to tell me you haven't looked at it, because I know this is a very yeah.
Yeah, the way I know it, usually the way you do it with Terraform, you just have one Terraform machine somewhere, and everybody uses that. But I'm fairly sure Terraform can fetch the state anew, even if you delete it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that.
And I think that's perfectly fine for what we're trying to achieve, right? Like, we're just want people to get started with Docker. Yeah, probably I would say 80% of the people would be a fire and forget kind of thing. Hey, I have the auto-scaling set up. Now I just use it and that's it.
Yeah, like if you're really serious, you're gonna have a team that handles everything for you, and you aren't going to just leave it to one script we provide, most likely.
One thing to, you have a point to explore AWS. I know Darwin from the Solution Architect did something similar using the CloudFormation from AWS. I'm not sure if you looked at it or not. I haven't really looked at it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't, but it's mostly like I think the same premise
Okay.
as the Google Cloud Autoscaling. But yeah, I haven't looked at it, so I haven't even used CloudFormation in my life.
Yeah.
We use it in Docker, but it's pretty verbose. I don't think anyone liked it.
Sorry? Can you repeat that question?
I was saying that we used CloudFormation and Docker for Docker Hub, but it was pretty verbose. I think Infra were trying to move away from it. Didn't quite like it.
Yeah, and Terraform kind of wraps around CloudFormation. So if we just keep it one language, it's much easier to maintain for us. Well, first of all, awesome work, Georgie. I really like it. Nice design.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah, my only other question is, and we can just do async, is like the next set of smallest iterations, and we can kind of like walk through on the document async in terms of what we think we want to do next in terms of small iterations to move it forward. And by the way, Elliot and I added a few other small iterative issues to the epic yesterday. So whenever you guys have some time, you can look at that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to discuss next steps now, or are we out of time? No.
We are out of time, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, we have time.
Yeah, we have 30 more minutes. So we can...
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 10:20. Sorry. Let's just talk about it. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Yeah, go ahead, folks. Sorry. I thought we were 10 o'clock cut off.
Yeah, I just kind of threw some stuff that popped up in my mind in the next text point. But
okay, so I'll just remove mine.
But if any of you has something else to add, that would be cool.
I think the biggest thing would be the Docker image, providing a Docker image, so users just run around the Docker image. If they want to clone the repository, they're more than welcome. Yeah, but that's I wouldn't say that would be the next iteration. The first iteration would be to improve on what you did, right? Like using Packer to build the image, because Packer is strictly there for building image, and for us to get the project running for so something similar to what Thomas did with the UBI images, right? So every time we merge to master, and every time we trigger create a tag on the GitLab Runner project, we trigger a pipeline on the UBI project that will build the UBI images. So we can do something similar. So every time we merge the master or every time we tag, we will trigger a pipeline to project X, and project X is going to start building the images. So that would be the first smallest iteration and getting it into the marketplace. Even doing that is like very helpful because the users can just run the image and it will have everything installed, all the environment installed. I think the question would be mostly for Darren and Elliot is, which provider are we going to start with, AWS or GCP?
Just go with GCP. It's a POC, it's MVC. We go with GCP. I mean, we already have a happily there. I know AWS is the biggest one, but you know, we're just trying to get to use Sid's terms, right? We're just trying to iterate on it, right? And then we can go to AWS. We're not trying to make it perfect. I know it would have been perfect with AWS first because they're the biggest, but we're halfway there with GCP. So let's knock it out.
I would say that would be the first step iteration, is getting the image building out of the way and like public for users to download, so it's not in our internal project. And then I can work on the Terraform script. I mean, at the end of the day, the Terraform script is done. The only thing I would change is having Docker instead of Shell Executor, because more people are used to Docker.
Really fast too, just sorry, Steve. I mean, honestly, once we get this thing kind of published, folks that are much more steep with using Terraform and AWS and AWS still align, they might just be able to knock it off for us anyway too. So
exactly. Yeah. So yes, I would say that would be the first steps. Georgie has more background than me, so he can say yes, no, maybe more than me.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like the next steps. I was mostly like coming in this meeting. I was mostly wondering like, is there anything fundamentally wrong about this? Is this the right direction? If that's the right direction, then yeah, let's go ahead.
I would say it's the right direction, because then this gives us a good basis to make the one-click install from the UI plausible, right? Like I'm not sure if Omnibus installs Docker or not for them, but if it does, we can run the helper image. Like we can get, like, for example, the authentication through the Google OmniAuth setup and things like that if we want to. But I think starting from the Terraform is a good first step, and this would also help us with something that Darren brought up a few weeks back with the best way to set up Autoscaler on GCP or the best way to set up Autoscaler on AWS. And like providing Terraform scripts for the users to just use it might be one way forward as well. So we codify the environment and architecture, basically.
Cool. That's super awesome. Hey, a quick question for you then. In terms of the next steps, I always get confused with this because I was confused with this yesterday. Do some of these new next step issues get created in the runner project? Or like some of the issues you created yesterday, we created in GitLab.org? I mean, where should we create some of the follow-on issues?
I always default to the runner project, and worst case scenario, if it doesn't make sense, move it to another project later on. So
okay.
I would say if the real first step would be to have a new project, let's just create the project and put the issues inside of it. So because the way I see it is we're going to have two projects, right? One for the image building and one for the Terraform scripts, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So we can have it in those, create those two projects and then create issues in each one of them, and then have it all assigned to the epic.
Oh, I hadn't even gone that far yet. I was just thinking from the perspective of, under the make CI/CD epic right now, there are a couple of the GitLab.org project. And then I think, like, for example, Georgie's research spike issue was created under GitLab Runner. So yeah, that's kind of what I was, but yeah, I see where you're going with that as well. So net is whatever issue we create, as long as we link it back to the epic, we should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I think the first step would be maybe Georgie can write the summary and the research spec and close that issue because it's done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was one of the things I was thinking, but it's probably not going to be needed. Is should we explore just like a tiny bit on how we would do it on AWS? Just to have an idea. I don't know. Maybe we could. I have literally I have no idea how this will play out with the Terraform scripts and with the AWS and with other providers. So just to have an idea at this point, like it's early on, maybe it would save us some trouble in the future.
I agree. Having an educated guess is much better than just
Yeah.
I wouldn't go all the way, but just like having some image running built on AWS and using Terraform to provision a runner, I think it will not hurt us. It will help us a lot.
Cool. Well, if you don't have any other questions, I'll summarize this like later today or tomorrow in the issue. And Darren, are you going to create like the next steps issue somewhere?
Sure. So let's just see. So the Docker image one for sure is an issue, right? Do we want an issue for exploring AWS?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2. What about the other next steps? Review of the script, review of the workflow.
One of the others would be to use Packer.
Okay.
And yeah, Steve, do you know anyone who could just go through the Terraform files real quick?
Ask someone from the infrastructure team. You can ask, I know Craig, who does a lot of Terraform stuff, and Henrix or Henry, whatever, I forgot his name really. T24 Core, basically his username is. They do a lot of Terraform, so they can help you out with Terraform. I know one from the infrastructure team can help you out, but those are within our time zones.
Okay, can you just write them in the doc?
Sure. Let me find out.
Okay, so Georgie, I'll create a new issues just in a runner project, and I'll just link it back to the epic right after.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then later on today, I'll probably test it as well again. I stopped testing it yesterday, but now I see how you're running it. I'll test it again.
Oh yeah, it's very different from yesterday. So you can pull the new changes. Like okay. It's not very different. It's just easier with less arguments and stuff. More magic.
It's automatic, as I say. Oh.
Okay, if we're done, guys, I don't want to take up more of your time.
Thanks, everyone. This is super great, man.
Thanks, guys, for the feedback.
Yeah. Thank you for the demo.
Yeah. Have a nice day.